Hello, Andrew, and hello, everyone out in the virtual world. Welcome to the Explore AI Summit brought to you by Logix Academy. My name is Jen Giffen, and I am going to be your MC for the day. We're so excited that you have joined us here today. We have a day. I don't know if I've been excited in this long to get up on a Saturday morning and dive right into PD, because we have so many questions about AI, and it's because we're just at the beginning of things. I think there's so many questions and ways that we can share with one another, bring up our concerns, bring up our excitement, and I'm excited today to jump in with you, Andrew, all about quizzes. So that's what we're doing today. Here we go. I'm going to start sharing right from the beginning so that you know you are going to be able to access this slide deck at the link that you see there in your screen. And I'm just going to come back over here and post it for those of you following along on YouTube. I'm going to post it there in the chat for you. You'll notice that we're a few minutes ahead. So as you ask questions throughout this session, don't be alarmed if we sort of look like we're streaming ahead and we're not getting to your question, because you're coming in a little bit later. But anyway, okay, carrying right along, Andrew is going to be clicking the slides for me. So this is, like I said, I'm Jen Giffen. I am coming to you from Richmond Hill. I'm on the Williams Treaty. My pronouns are she, her, and I can be reached on Instagram and Blue Sky, which has brought all this fun energy to me this week that I really dove in, and it took off this week, which I'm really excited about. And I'm at Virtual GIF there. We'll introduce your presenter in a minute. But before we get into anything, of course, we would like to begin by taking a moment to acknowledge the land that I am joining from. I'm located on the treaty lands of the Williams Treaty First Nation, which include the Chippewas and the Mississauga peoples. I recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous communities on this land, as well as their deep connection to it, which continues to this day. As we gather virtually as educators from around the world, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the land that you are on, its history, and the Indigenous people who have cared for it for generations. May this acknowledgement inspire us all to learn more, foster meaningful relationships, and commit to reconciliation wherever you are. And of course, we would encourage you to learn more about the land that you are on by visiting that link right there at native-land.ca to learn all about treaties and about the peoples and the language of the land that you are on. All right, we are brought to you today by Logix Academy, and you can learn all about what we do. We are contractors for Logix. We do not work for Logix proper, but we are teachers. I'm a teacher librarian. Andrew is a teacher on assignment with Quizizz this year, which is very exciting. And you can learn all about Logix and what the Logix Academy, who has asked us to join and lead this here today, at logixacademy.com and at Logix Academy on social. So we are proud partners of Microsoft, of Minecraft for Education, Google Cloud partner, and we're an Apple Professional Learning partner. But today we are actually going to thank Microsoft specifically. But before I do that, I'm going to get into some products that we have. So Logix Academy isn't only about PD. They also have products, a lot of really cool robots and stuff. I first learned about Dash and Dot from Logix back probably in about 2015. So they've been around for quite some time and are happy to support all of your learning and your tech, STEM, and STEAM needs. We also have live events that are offered as part of the Logix portfolio. We have a really cool co-taught lessons every day during CS Week, which is coming up in December. You basically get someone virtually to come into your class and they teach the lesson for you. So if you're not feeling really confident about computational sciences and comp sci and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, where do I start with this? I want to do it with my kids, but I don't know how. Guess what? You can very, very easily do it by visiting logixacademy.com/live events. And you can sign up right there. It's free. It's every day. They'll have lessons at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern. So adjust that to the time frame that you're in, and everything aligns with a Canadian curriculum. So There we go. There's where I was getting to. We want to, well, I said earlier that we partner, with Apple and Google and Minecraft and Microsoft and everyone. We do want to take a moment and give a sincere thanks to Microsoft for their generous support of this workshop series as part of their commitment to fostering a broader understanding of artificial intelligence, particularly in education. So while normally when we do Microsoft kind of seminars like this, we focus solely on Microsoft tools because of course, that's what they want to do. They have come in and said, you know what? No, let's open the doors. Let's show everything it has to offer. And let's let teachers sort of get messy at the beginning, at the onset, so to speak, of our AI journey. So Microsoft, thank you so much for that. And I think that takes us, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, is it you? It's you. I am going to pass the floor over to my friend. I love the work that he does. I love learning from him. I'm so excited to be partnered with him today. Andrew Boronsky, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Jen. Great to be here with you personally and everyone else here joining us online from across Canada. I think maybe even outside of Canada as well. I was looking at registrations. They're coming from everywhere. So great to be here with you all. And to those of you joining us virtually after the fact to watch this recording, great to connect with you as well. AI is such an interesting topic in education in K-12 right now. Really excited to share with you all today a bit about Quizizz at this Logix Explore AI Summit brought to you by Microsoft. Very quick introduction for myself. My name is Andrew Boronsky. You can find me online at Andrew Boronsky. My email is there if you want to follow up with me after the fact at Quizizz. Always been passionate about educational technology. I've always been fascinated as a classroom educator, but how can we leverage technology for teaching and learning to support educators, support students. And I've been really excited by what's been happening with generative AI the past few years. So excited to share with you today about how Quizizz have been approaching this to make teachers' lives easier, give you some time back, and be that virtual assistant to you. If you're not familiar with Quizizz at all, they've been around for 8 or 9 years now. Their focus and kind of their bread and butter for the first 5-6 years was fun, formative, engaging assessments with students for teachers. Lots of different use cases for that, probably something a lot of us used during the pandemic. But if you haven't looked at Quizizz in a little bit, it is so much more now. And so with that in mind, they're really looking to be a suite of tools. So for educators, you're going to have your learning management system. Very common ones would be Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, D12 Brightspace. Quizizz has deep integrations with all of those. You're going to have a suite of productivity tools. You're going to be working with Google Workspace or Microsoft Office. Quizizz, again, has deep integrations with those. And then Quizizz is looking to be the tool, kind of a one-stop shop for teachers after that with those integrations. So yes, fun form of engaging quizzes, much more rigorous and serious assessments as a tool. But then there's also a lessons tool. If you're familiar with something like Pear Deck, where you can take your slide deck from PowerPoint or Google Slides, you can drop that into Quizizz and then add interactivity, control your students' screens, get rich reporting data. There's an interactive video tool in Quizizz now. So if you're familiar with something like Edpuzzle, you can take your own videos and upload to Quizizz. You can grab something from YouTube, have questions pop up along the timeline as students are answering it, and get rich detail and reports back on how your students are progressing with their learning there. There's a brand new passages tool. So you can take a Word file, a Google Doc, a PDF, a website link, drop it into Quizizz, have it off to the left. Students can answer questions to show literacy, reading comprehension off to the right. And there's even a brand new flashcards tool within Quizizz that can be teacher-generated digital flashcards for your students to work through to practice their learning. I love each of these tools, but one of the brilliant things about Quizizz is that it all looks and feels the same. You're not going off to 7 or 8 different tools as an educator with your students. You're in one spot with all of these in. And they've been building a ton of AI into all of these tools for educators. So can't wait to share with you all today. Because there's so much here, I'm just going to say I'm going to go faster than I would like to, because my goal in this session is to create awareness for you as educators for how you could use these tools in your classrooms, in your schools, and across your districts. And hopefully, again, I think it's such a fun, easy, intuitive, really simple to use tool. You can jump in and learn how to use it very quick. Jen, I saw some excitement there for you.
I know. I was going to say I've recently used this. My kids were studying for, I have 2 sons in grade 7, and they were studying for a test. And I was like, I don't know, I can't do it. And I was able to really quickly, using AI and Quizizz, and I only know this much, so I'm so excited to learn more, create something to help prepare them without stressing me out as a parent. So it's not only for educators. Like I really see this as a broadening for anyone who supports learners anywhere. I love it.
Totally agree. Absolutely. All right. With that in mind, let's dive in. Always want to highlight when we're talking about online virtual tools, we're in a day and age, you always want to consider privacy for yourselves, for your students, and at your school or district level. We've got people coming from across Canada here, so it's be unique to everyone. And when you're talking about AI specifically and it being free, I think you want to be very careful for the tools that you're using. This is some time you want in space, you want to spend some time in. Really quickly on this, Quizizz recently had a deep dive with Common Sense Privacy Program. We have a phenomenal score in my mind of 92%. It's worth looking at that, specifically for these school districts coming from Ontario. Many districts here across the province work with the ECNO vetting the application security and privacy. That's going to be a unique choice for every school district in Ontario, but we feel very good about our score, and it's a very favorable score with ECNO as well too. Two things I'll say about Quizizz when it comes to AI. No personal information is ever going through from Quizizz into an AI chatbot. It's like set to be private always. So no personal information is going through, and none of the resources you put in as an educator to Quizizz are ever used in a training of a model. Those are both very clear in a public privacy policy. I think two things you should always be aware of when using any AI tool. So with that inside, let's get to the fun stuff here. Other one I really want to highlight, and so when think, okay, Broncy, this is great. How does this work? How much does this cost? In Canada specifically, so if we have anyone joining from the US, I apologize, this is not available to you, but for Canadian schools specifically, Quizizz is running a phenomenal program called Free for Schools. There is a free version of Quizizz. There is a paid premium version of Quizizz. The model for Quizizz is to have teachers and students love it for free and have schools and districts consider upgrading to a premium version. So that is their business model. They're not selling or trading in data in any way, shape, or form. And then there's a middle version between the free and the premium version called Free for Schools. The way this works is you as an educator can get premium features for free forever for everyone at your school if there's 5 teachers at a school that have a Quizizz account. The three premium paid features that come for free forever are our advanced question types. We have 17 different question types in Quizizz that you can use across all of our tools that are there to kind of be more rich and engaging with your students. We have access to millions of resources in our premium content library that teachers can search and make copies of to use with their students. And probably most interesting to those of you joining here, our Quizizz AI Create tools for educators are free forever in this Free for Schools program. What I really want to highlight on this free forever piece, that I was very clear with Quizizz, and they are very clear in their marketing materials. It is free forever for everyone at a school once there's 5 teachers or more at a school using Quizizz. So everything I'm going to highlight for you here is going to be included in that Free for Schools program, so you can get up and running with this very quickly and easily. Jen, you got a hand up there, I think. Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Andrew, how would one go about? So if I'm a teacher, like I'm a teacher librarian, as I said at the beginning, and let's say know that 4 other or 10 other teachers at my school are using it, how would we go about making sure we become that we get to that Free for School level?
Nice and easy. It is automated. So you can, in your settings, your profile, you can just select your school. You are set to the same school in Quizizz. It will automatically flip over. You'll see Free for Schools pop up in the top left, and you're up and running.
We don't need to do anything other than making sure that we all have the same school listed.
Absolutely. Nice and easy. 5 teachers at the same school with an account automatically flips over. It is easy peasy, but if you've got questions or need support, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to connect with anyone to support that, but absolutely nice and simple. We try to keep things easy here. All right, so let's dive in. So excited to show you live demo some things here with AI and maybe hopefully give you a chance to play. So as I mentioned, Quizizz start off with kind of these fun gamified quizzes. They're really great at formative assessment. It can be used for summative assessment, but this is my own personal take as an educator and a lot of working as a school board consultant for a number of years too, working with educators. I think educators often have pretty good resources in their classroom. They feel pretty good about summative assessment, but they really struggle to spend time and engage in formative assessment. And I think Quizizz is a really great answer. I think one of the reasons we struggle with that as educators is it can take a lot of time. There's a lot of data to work through, and Quizizz is trying to make this really easy for you with a boost of AI. So as I mentioned with our instructional suite there, yes, we started off with assessments. We've got lessons, passages, interactive video, and flashcards. The other one I really want to highlight, I'll give you an example. The Ottawa Catholic School Board actually purchased premium quizzes for their entire district of 50,000 students for this school year, and have been spending a lot of time visiting them and working in classes with them. And one thing we've been hearing from teachers and students is it is really nice to have a suite of tools where it all looks and feels the same across it. As a student, if I'm going to this tool for this and it looks and functions this way, I'm going to another tool for this and it looks and functions this way, that can be a struggle for a lot of students. And so the nice thing about Quizizz is across all of these tools, different entry points for teachers, cross-curricular, cross-grade, it looks and feels the same for students, and everything is in one spot for students and educators. On the assessment side, we try to be fun, and actually we hear from a lot of students, they actually really enjoy using Quizizz. It is fun, it's engaging for them. So we have multiple different game modes. On the screen here, you can see an example of our mastery peak mode, where students can move at their own pace and everyone's trying to work towards mastery and move towards the peak of the mountain, as an example. I'll highlight it works on any device, so Chromebook, laptop, desktop. I think across Canada, pretty much everyone's banning mobile phones in the classroom right now, but it does work well on mobile devices and tablets as well. And basically across all 5 tools, as students are answering questions and engaging in different ways, teachers are always getting reports back to them live in the moment as students are doing it. So you can track and adjust around that, but also to review after the fact. So really rich data, and our AI will try to flag things for you like, hey, maybe this is a resource you might want to consider because some students struggle with this, or maybe you want to kind of come here, or your students are doing great with this. Here's maybe some next steps for resources as examples. Where you're all here though for is like, let's talk about AI. And so I think what's really interesting about Quizizz as well is they're not a brand new tool that's just a wrapper for text, where it's like a chatbot where you're just talking with it and it's just spitting out text back for you. It's you use Quizizz with tools that you would use without AI in the classroom. And then there's a massive boost with AI to give teachers back time and to make things so much simpler and quicker in the classroom. So one example you're seeing here, an approach for Quizizz with artificial intelligence, is let's leverage the resources you already have and you're using in the classroom, and let's take them to another level. So for an example, you can take a PDF, you can insert from Google Drive, you can drop in a Word file, Google Doc, Google Slide, PowerPoint, a website link, and our AI will generate questions off of that. So you're up and running quickly. Here's something your students are working through. Here's something you're covering in class. Let's check their understanding quickly. You can create a quiz in a matter of seconds. Want to give you this one. I'm going to live demo this here, but we're going to play a video, and Jen, I'm going to keep an eye on for you. If you can just give me a thumbs up and make sure the audio is coming through. Here's a quick 1-minute video of how AI is approaching, how Quizizz is approaching AI for educators. And so a few things I want to highlight very quickly there is, first off, Quizizz is in no way trying to replace teachers. You can see right there, we're trying to be an assistant to teachers. Everything built in Quizizz also takes with AI, takes a teacher to an editor. It's your review, your personal judgment. You know your students best. So let's take something that might take you half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to do, and let's take it down to 2 minutes or 3 minutes and try and give you a lot of time back to focus on what's most important. I would say that's working with students one-on-one, small groups, fostering relationships in your classroom with your students. That's a big focus for Quizizz. You saw some examples of how we're trying to approach that here. Another way Quizizz AI is trying to support teachers is with augmentation and differentiation of things in your classroom to meet your students' needs in different ways. So you can do things like change a question type with a click of a button, replace it with a similar question, or turn that question into a real-world scenario. add answer explanations. What our AIs will suggest. So if students don't select a correct answer, here is immediate feedback for them that's personalized to them. And yes, even translation is a free tool built in. So you can take a resource, have it translated into another language, and push that out and share to students quickly and easily. So really focus on meeting the needs of all your students and being a quick and easy assist to teachers to help with that. And then last but not least, I'll get to live demo here. We have almost all of the Ontario curriculum expectations built into Quizizz now. And we have grade 9, K to 9 math for both Alberta and BC. Within the next few weeks, we should have all of Ontario, Alberta, and BC done, and then we're moving on to other provinces and territories. And so here's another way. It's great that the Ontario curriculum or standards from your province or territory are there for you, but you can actually use our AI to create off of them in seconds. And so here, I'm actually going to switch to a live demo mode. Let's look at Quizizz and how it works in the moment. I'm going to end my screen share here for one moment because I need to flip over to the window here. There we go.
As you're doing that, Andrew, I'm just going to remind everyone watching live, you're more than welcome to put any questions you might have as we go along in the chat on YouTube. I am monitoring that, and I will jump in and ask Andrew as they come up.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jen. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, I think you need to throw my screen back up now. There we are.
Yes, I will do my job. Thank you for the reminder.
Absolutely. No, thank you. All right. So here I am in my Quizizz account. I think Jen will if she hasn't already, drop it in the chat here if you want to jump on and create an account quickly. You'll have a chance here to play with some of these AI tools yourself here in the moment. But so on my landing page here, I've got a few options. I can track what I've been doing recently and see progress on those reports coming from my students live in the moment. I'll have resources suggested to me from the Quizizz library for what I am doing, so I can make copies of those. But off to the left here, I'm going to click on Create. So if I click Create, I can see the 5 options within Quizizz. Do I want to create an assessment, lesson, interactive video, passage, or flashcard? We'll have a quick look at each of these. Let's start off with assessment. So if I click assessment here, I can see I've got 3 clean, easy to use options for how I might want to create. So one, again, Quizizz wants to help you supercharge the resources you already have. So drop in a Google form or Microsoft form, a PDF or a resource you're using. We'll bring that into Quizizz and create it in Quizizz for you automatically in a matter of seconds. So if you've got a bunch of Google Forms or Microsoft Forms as an example, and you want to take them to another level, bring in what you've already got. We'll bring them in for you, and then you can build off of that. I'm going to come back to generate with AI here because that's what we are here for, and I'm excited to show you this. But I'm going to click create from scratch here really quickly because you can always build from scratch within Quizizz. And what I want to highlight here is all the different question types and different ways you can engage students. And these are available to you across the Quizizz platform. Again, if you're on the very free version, you'll probably only see about 6 or 7 of these as option. But if you get to that free for schools version I mentioned, you get all of our premium question types for free forever across Quizizz. And so some of the examples you can see here is, yes, we have basic question types such as multiple choice, multi-select, true or false, fill in the blanks, and open-ended. I'll highlight here, even on our open-ended side, you can use AI Assist, where you can actually, based on the question type for this open-ended response, where students can type in their answers, our AI will suggest what might be a good answer for your subject area and grade. You can tweak and edit that, and then our AI will support you in the assessment process. Always leaving it to you as the teacher for your professional judgment to make the final decision and how you're scoring students on this. But again, looking to save you some time and give you some time back with that with support. Quizizz also has a partnership with Desmos. So we have the Desmos calculator built into Quizizz in here so that any student can use it on a question, or it can be a question type specifically. So we've got the graphing calculator from Desmos built in and the math response calculator built in. You can use these across Quizizz, give these to your students, use them yourself as an educator. But then we want to get into interactive and higher order thinking. So we've got things like drag and drop questions for students to interact with their learning, reordering where students can place things into the proper order, drop downs. I'm going to go too fast here, and matching. So dragging and kind of matching them to the correct answer, or even categorizing, giving students an option to categorize and show their learnings in different ways. We also want learning to be visible. So again, labeling as an example. This also has an AI boost. So if you can search Google Safe or search images, say Google Safe Search Images right within Quizizz, select an image or bring your own image in, And our AI will suggest labels for that you can just drag and drop to the correct spot. You're up and running, and now you've got a labeling question for students. We've got hotspot question types where students can select things on an image to show their understanding or comprehension of it. And then we've got other open-ended responses. So students have a draw option to show their learning via drawings. We also have audio and video responses built into Quizizz. So students can click to record a video or just very quickly share their thinking and learning through an audio response. And you can even run polls in your class or word clouds right in the moment. So just want to highlight all the question types and different ways you can engage students with Quizizz and have them show their learning in different ways. And that's available across our tools. I'm going to jump back though to the exciting piece here and click on Generate with AI. So if I want to create something with AI to check students' understanding, it can be formative or summative. I'm going to click Generate AI here. And you'll see, again, I've got some options built in. So I can upload a document from my device. Our AI will scan that and generate questions off of it for you. I can import right from Google Drive. You can even, with our free mobile app, snap a picture of a paper worksheet or a poster on the wall in your classroom, and we'll generate a quiz off of that for you to via a picture right within our app. You can see support formats here, support pretty much everything from Microsoft, a variety of images as well. I could drop a website link in here and have our AI generate off a website link very quickly and easily. But I'm going to go to text prompt. So I have an option up here for text prompt. Now, with the Quizizz AI, you can prompt it for pretty much anything, and it will generate a quiz for you. You can see down here, I can choose my grade or subject area. So I'm going to say, I don't know, as an example, I'll choose mathematics, and then I can select a grade for us. I'm going to say, hey, let's say it's grade 9 D-streamed math as an example. Again, I could prompt it for something, and it's going to take, hey, it's grade 9 math as a starting point and generate off of this. But you'll see here I've got an option for select expectations. If I choose select expectations, I've got Ontario, and I can see Alberta and BC, and we're going to keep building this out across Canada. The Ontario grade 9 D-stream math curriculum is here built in for me. So I can review all these expectations as an educator. I could choose a specific strand. So let's look at the number strand or algebra or data strand. Our AI will suggest topics from the curriculum in the moment that you could kind of say, hey, show me the expectations related to this topic, or I can even search those expectations. So as a quick example, let's say semester 2 is coming up in a few months. Crazy to say that we're like in December shortly. But let's say at the start of the semester, just formative, like not looking to collect anything summative. I want to check my students' understanding of fractions. What are they bringing from grade 6, 7, 8 into my grade 9 math class? If I type in just FRAC, it will flag the 3 expectations that have fractions in them. I can quickly tag off these expectations and click done and say, okay, I've got 3 expectations tagged off here. I want a quiz here. I want 8 questions on this for grade 9 math. I'm going to click continue. And you're going to see here live in a matter of seconds, our AI is going to generate questions for me to share with my students. I know it's going fast. You can actually see on each question is tagged to a specific expectation or standard. And then as I share this with my students and they're practicing and doing it, I'll get data and reporting live in the moment to see how the class is performing by each expectation and or standard there. So I can see what it's spitting out here. I said for 8 questions there, a matter of seconds, done, I'm ready to go. And what I really like this say from just a regular chat bot is this is actually what I'm going to share with my student. It's live and ready to go. I don't have to go take this and now build it in something else. Other thing I want to highlight is you can see the option in the bottom right here, continue to editor. When I select that, AI is fantastic. It is really, really smart, and it's getting better and better, but it is not perfect. I think it's understand it is not perfect, and you know your students best. You are the professional. So Quizizz always brings you to an editable page for to review, tweak in the moment, adjust for your class, and then share ready going. So I can scan this as an educator and say, hey, what are the questions that generated? What is the correct answer? What are the incorrect answers it gave as options for students? I can scroll through this. I can use our AI enhance button. So up here, I've got a little star with AI, and then I could, again, replace with a similar question, have this converted to a real world scenario, add an answer explanation, have this translated into different languages. I can always edit the questions. So if I click the edit button, I can tweak this here as an educator. So I could change up the question type, change up the answer options. What is the correct answer? I'll highlight too across all of our question types. In the question, you can add an image. You can record audio for your students to hear or listen to, or you can even insert a video from yourself for your students. And in all of our question types, you can add an image in too. use Google Safe Image Search right within Quizizz to add images in to make it visual. You'll see I've got a lot of options up here, and I can't dive into everything I'd love to cover. There's so many ways to personalize this and make it work just for you and your students. And I'll highlight if I want to change up my question types. Like, yes, this is a multiple choice question, but I could change this into a matching question or a drag and drop response or a math response question or a categorizing question. So I'm going to click save on this question type here. I'm going to scroll to the bottom of what it generated. I can also add in my own questions. My favorite example here is adding in an audio response question. So yeah, students might do some quick answers, but I can give them 30 seconds, say, to record their thinking that I could listen to after the fact. What did not show up in the quiz? So I can just listen to that for 30 seconds and incorporate that with my learning. Jen, I got a reaction from you there. So I'm going to come back to you. Thoughts on this really quickly?
I think that's amazing. So when we talk about triangulation of assessment, and I think about my own child who has an executive functioning disorder, and he struggles often to get like typed out or whatever. For him to just be able to, like, yeah, here, I'm just going to record my voice and put that is game changing for so many of our kids. This, like, the UDL model built in here, like baked into this product, is just, it's mind blowing to me.
Couldn't agree more. And Jen, I wanted to jump back in when I get to accommodations here in Quizizz, because it's my favorite tool, and we haven't even chatted about it yet, and it goes to a whole other level with everything you were just highlighting. So please come back on here when I get to accommodations.
Okay, I'm so excited.
So yeah, so let's just say this example, quick audio response. And I'll say too, I think there's for a lot of educators, we're struggling with AI, and like, hey, I think it's a negative connotation for many in the classroom right now, being like, my students aren't doing their learning, it's AI. Here's another great option. So like, hey, have the student actually share their thinking. I come at it from the lens of this is a really positive way for students to show their learning to in different ways, but it's also really hard to hack or kind of show your learning in an audio response that's coming from your students. So other options there built in. I could go with that, ready to go. Our AI will suggest similar related questions, even some with images baked in. So I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to add this question to this quiz as well. Or maybe it didn't. Our AI will also suggest like, hey, here's related topics of things that we might not have generated. Do you want some other things about solving linear equations or adding and subtracting fractions or integer operations? And I could select these, and then find other questions to go. When I'm ready, and if you're wondering what this looks like as a student, you can always preview. So if they hear, this is what it looks like. So it's a nice, clean, intuitive, easy to use interface for students to access and use. And again, this is built, click of a button, you push it out. So when I'm ready to go and share this, I'm going to click the publish button up here in the top right. I've now popped this into my personal library in Quizizz. And then what I really like about this, and across all 5 of our tools, I can do a start now and run this live synchronously in the classroom with my students, or I can choose the assign option to share this asynchronously with my class. And that might be in person, like I'm going to let students move through at their own pace, or we're going to do this together collectively, or it might be a resource after the fact. You might not be one-to-one in your classroom, have devices or access to them. You can always download these as a worksheet too. And sometimes pencil and paper is still best in our classroom. So use our AI to generate things for you, but then download it, print it off, and share with your students as a paper copy for them to work through. So you always got a paper option. You can always assign asynchronously. You can always run live. I'm going to click on start now really quickly just to highlight our game modes too here. So if I go start now, we have our classic mode here, which is kind of a fun gamified experience. Mastery peak about students moving through at their own pace. You can run this instructor pace, so you're guiding and controlling each question. We've got a test mode. If you're not focused on the formative and fun engaging side, you can like, hey, let's strip that down and be more serious and rigorous about this. You can do team modes if you have a few devices in your classroom and have students working together in teams, or we even have a paper mode. And in paper mode, if you don't have devices, again, with our free mobile app, and I'll click on this and show you how it works here. Basically, you can print off sheets that are QR codes that have each side is an answer type. Students can hold up their responses in class, and you can use our mobile app to scan and collect those responses from students, even if you don't have devices in classroom, or maybe you don't want students on devices, but you can still collect that digital data in the moment with students just holding up these pieces of paper. Jen, I'm glad you got your camera on. Love getting your reactions every time.
I know. I told you I'd turn it off. Maybe I'm too distracting. This used to be a tool that went away. That was like a single tool you could do this with. I didn't realize it was part of Quizizz. I am so glad I'm here today, because I think about that times where you're like a kid who forgot their phone is dead. They don't have a phone. You're like, okay, no problem. You can still participate. Like, there's so many access points.
Absolutely. Really quickly, how you can share too. So I could assign this to a class. I could post this out to a Microsoft Teams channel, my Google Classroom. If you're working with us as a district level, you can post it right to D12 Brightspace in your classroom. A whole bunch of settings control for making this work the way you want it to in your class. But if I go start here, the other thing I'll highlight.
Andrew, I'm going to pop in. We have Whitney is watching along on YouTube and just wrote, "This is a game changer!" exclamation mark. So like we're feeling the love. We're feeling the love.
Glad to hear it. And if you don't know Whitney McKinley, she's actually a panelist in the third round of sessions. Go check out her panel on AI. She is doing brilliant stuff and with the Waterloo Catholic District School Board right now. Thanks for being here, Whitney. So another way I can share, again, I could grab a link to this and drop this to my class to share it. I could post to Google Classroom, Teams, Brightspace. Again, if you're doing more PD with educators, you can run this with a QR code. They can just scan with their phones. Or they can just go to joinmyquiz.com and you can share a code in class. And what's really unique about this is the other option I mentioned, like sharing it, posting it directly to your class, which is great with class rostering. It's a couple clicks and your class is set up and good to go. But students don't even need to have a Quizizz account to join and do anything within Quizizz. You can just pop this code up. They can join, put in, say, their initials, and then they're in and up and running with that in class. So depending on how your district is, we're at their privacy review. Again, Quizizz feels very strong about being safe and secure for teachers and students. And I think rostering is a phenomenal way to do this with your class and having those syncs. But you can actually just have this up and running quick and easy for anyone in the moment without them even having a Quizizz account to join. All right, a lot there. I'm going to jump back to my deck here because there's so much more I'm excited to cover here with all of you. Flip back to this mode here. And sorry, let's do it this way. Yep, slideshow. So off of that, quick interview. There's one example of building a quiz and using our AI tools. Want to highlight, again, it is a full suite of tools for educators. And I want to cover here just some of the other tools quickly, because I think just that alone, if that was all Quizizz was, I think it's a great option for teachers and students to use. But there's so much more here. So I'm going to flip this open here. So again, interactive video, flashcards, passages, other few examples here. So our lessons tool, different ways you can use this. Within Quizizz, you can bring in your own Google Slides and insert right from Google Drive. You could drop a Microsoft PowerPoint in. If you use Canva, you can grab a PDF and drop that into Quizizz. And then you can make it so much more rich and engaging for your students in class by controlling their screens and adding all those interactive question types from Quizizz into your lesson and engaging them in the moment. So you're getting live data in the moment. A few pieces on this. We do have a Google Slides add-on. So right within Google Slides, you can sync up with Quizizz and actually insert our question types right into Google Slides, staying within Google Slides, or you can bring this into Quizizz and do it right from Quizizz. This is a great way to make your lessons, presentations interactive. So again, think about those question types. Maybe you go through 4 or 5 slides, and then you have a drag and drop question type or a reordering question type. And you as an educator, or if you're running PD as an example, are getting live in the moment feedback from students, how they're comprehending the lesson, what's going on. You can flag things like, oh, let's talk about this and see this, how each individual student's doing and how the class is performing. I think this is so powerful. You can control your students' screens. So if you're doing this live, you can actually guide their screens and control what they're seeing and how you're interacting with them. Or you can push this out asynchronously and get reports for how students moved at their own pace through that lesson and what questions they answered and get reporting on that for the class as well. But there is so much more in our lessons tool. So different fun tools we have here. And if we have time at the end, I might actually ask some of our participants to jump into a live lesson. But so here I can see here, we've got a spin the wheel feature. So you can randomly call on someone in class and it's visual for everyone. Like students not feeling picked on. You just like a random call out in the class. Or if you're running PD again, it's a great way to give a prize, for example. We have interactive whiteboards built into Quizizz lessons. So with a click of a button, I can bring up a whiteboard to draw on. That would show on all of my students' screens. And I don't know about many of you, I'm missing Jamboard still. The thing I didn't love about Jamboard was like everyone jumping onto one whiteboard. With Quizizz, with a click of a button, you can allow all of your students to have their own whiteboard and you can see what they're drawing, what they're doing on it from your screen, while each individual student has their own screen to draw on. You can click on one and flag it for students, just like, hey, let's look at what Sarah shared here in the class, if you like, and get tracking on that. You also have an option to annotate right on top of your slides. So click a button, stay on the slide you're on, and annotate and draw or highlight things on top of it, which all of your students can see live in the moment. And the tool that I really, really love personally that I would use all the time in the classroom is there's a button in there in our lessons tool from a live lesson to flip to student pace mode. So I'll give you an example. I've got, say, 15 or 20 slides in a lesson I'm doing in class for, say, 60, 75 minutes. I want to cover some key concepts, maybe in my first 7 or 8 slides with my class. So I would control their screens. I'm guiding them through it, asking some questions, interactive built in. And then I click a button to flip to student paced mode. I'm going to say, hey, from slide 9 to slide 18, this is now student paced. Now, every individual student on their devices can move through the next 10 slides at their own pace, answer some questions. I can track how my class is progressing through those slides, see the questions they're answering, the reporting come back in, and I'm free to move around the classroom to do some small group instruction, answer questions with individual students. I can still track their progress as they're working through that lesson at their own pace. I can come back with a click of a button, take over their screens again, and guide the lesson the rest of the way. That's our lessons tool in a nutshell. So many different ways to use it. And again, can be pushed out asynchronously as well. Next up, interactive video built in. Again, I could do a session on each of these tools just by themselves, but you can take your own video and upload it to Quizizz or grab a link from a YouTube video, drop it in. And the way our interactive video tool works is that as students are watching the video, either as a class together or individually on their own time at their own pace, questions pop up along the timeline, but they can use all those question types within Quizizz so students can show their understanding of the concepts they're watching and learning from that video. It's a great way to reteach concepts. It can be a great option for work outside of class for students or inside class. Different ways to use this. I'll highlight too, in the Quizizz library, we have over 200,000 education-focused YouTube videos built in already that are ready to go, identified by subject and grade. You can search these, and you can actually see in our library, you could search, say, Crash Course and find just videos from Crash Course. You can actually find popular YouTube videos from education-focused channels. Find those videos. Again, we've got Khan Academy built in, National Geographic, TED Ed. Find those resources. Questions are ready to go. It's like a Google Doc. You make a copy, edit, tweak yourself, and then you push out to your class to work through at their own pace. You can always build from scratch. Or if you bring in your own video and want to use this, our AI will suggest scan that video and suggest questions for you to add to it in a matter of seconds again, too. All right, keep going here. Passages, another tool. Again, so much I wanted to cover with you and just build awareness for you and for those of you joining us in this session. With our Passages tool, take the resources you have as an educator. So bring in a Google Doc, a Word file, a PDF, a website link. It will embed over here on the left of the page for your students. And then our AI will create questions off it for you based on some prompts options you choose, or you can build questions out yourself. And now, again, we have a huge focus on literacy in Ontario right now, and I know across Canada. This is a great way to practice literacy, to look at differentiation for reading levels, and also to check literacy skills and reading comprehension from students across the curriculum and across grades for you. You can also use our AI to have it create a text for you at a reading level. And even if you choose it as a nonfiction option, Quizizz will cite its sources for you and give you links and tabs for where those sources came from. You can remove specific sources or add in links to suggest your own, and it will generate off of that. Jen, really quickly, I know you come from a teacher librarian background. Thoughts on AI and citations here with Passages?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things that when I'm looking at AI tools, if it doesn't cite where it came from, I'm leery because I'm like, how is this created? Because I get a lot of pushback from a lot of different teachers about using AI, and I'm like, well, now we can see where it comes from, and I definitely think that's responsible. Research, right, is citing where we get things from. So the same way that I expect students to cite AI, I want AI to cite where it goes from, so I can trace it back. It's sort of that lateral exploration. I talk to students about Wikipedia, and you're not just going to look at Wikipedia. We're going to go into the resources and see where they got them from, and that sort of stuff is really important to me. So seeing that that's built in here is game changing for me versus other tools that might have similar features without that. Citing back to the original source.
Totally agree. So I'll give you again. I like to live demo. Let's see how this goes here live. So I'm going to click on create again. We looked at an assessment. I'm going to go off to passage here. So if I click passage, again, I can search what's in the Quizizz library already and find some examples. I can bring my own. So again, I've got something I want my students to read. And again, this could be a doc, a Google Drive file, Word file, PDF, a website link embedded in. Or I can go generate with AI if I don't have the resource already. And I want to highlight, even if you choose bring your own, Our AI will scan the document and suggest questions for you for that document, or you can build off scratch, but I'm going to generate with AI for both sides here. So I click on generate with AI. So I can have it here and just give it a prompt to generate. And so I got some options. So I can choose my genre. Do I want this to be fiction or nonfiction? And you can do both. This is also a fun way to engage your students. If you wanted to have to check them in, say they're really geeking out about Taylor Swift being in Toronto right now. Maybe you give them
no, you're triggering. You're triggering those of us who don't have tickets, Andrew. Bad example.
I didn't get tickets either. So again, I feel your pain for all of you. But yeah, if I chose fiction, it's like, hey, make a fictional 5-paragraph essay about Taylor Swift and her experiences in Toronto. It would generate that again. We could highlight, hey, this is a fictional text, and have it generate for you. I'm going to focus on nonfiction though here. So I'm going to choose a nonfiction option. And let's say, again, you can choose your grade and your subject, let's say 6th grade and science as an example. I can choose the number of paragraphs I want. I'm going to say, just again, the better you prompt, the better your output's going to be. So I'm going to say the water cycle. Very basic. This is not a good prompt in any way, but I want to like throw a challenge at it and let's see what it does. So I've got 6th grade nonfiction science. I want 4 paragraphs. I'm going to turn on here. I want it to share its sources. So I'm going to go click generate passage and let's see what our AI does here. Now, what I like to highlight too is like, hey, what do you want the questions to be about and what do you want the passage to be about? So our AI is going to suggest some topics for you to help this generate. I could choose my own topics. I'm saying, oh, it's suggesting, do I want this to be about evaporation and condensation? Like, yep, that makes sense. Precipitation types, yep. And I'm going to say impact of climate change. A really interesting topic here. Like, hey, let's discuss that. So I've got 3 topics chosen. I'm going to click continue. And now our AI here, it's flagging to me. This should take less than a minute. Look how quick and speedy this is. So it's now finding sources online. And it can actually see here, hey, it's pulling from National Geographic from Education. It's pulling from the Center for Science Education. It's showing me the website links that it is scanning. NASA was in there. So here's NASA. It's telling me where I'm creating this passage from, these passages. And you're going to see it here momentarily. It's going to give me a passage with citations included. I can see the links that it came from up here at the top. They are numbered for what this passage was created by, and I can scan and read over this as an educator. I think this is absolutely magical. If you scan like, hey, I don't like this resource. Let's say I'm an Ontario educator. I'm like, hey, NASA is fantastic, but I want to keep this Canadian focus. I could delete out and just choose like remove a citation that's here that's used. I can see it pulled in 6. I could also add my own source. I'm like, hey, you grab some great examples, but I really like this source. I'm going to drop this link in and have you rescan this and generate a new passage with the sources I suggested for you as well. I'm actually say I think I killed it here. Like I'm seeing Ocean Explorer, National Geographic, NASA. I'm going to click continue. And now I've got my passage over here and I can start editing this. I could add in images. I can add an audio and video myself to this passage. I can make some tweaks. And now it's generated questions for me as well off of this. So you can see the questions is coming like, what is the primary source of water vapor in the atmosphere? What percentage of the Earth's water is fresh water available for use? How does climate change affect the water cycle? In a matter of seconds here, it's generate a passage, show me the citations, it's at a reading level in the subject area I chose, and it's giving, so it's here's something for my students to read on a topic that we want to cover, and it's also generate questions so I can check, hey, did they read this? What's their understanding of these topics? Again, I just love this. I think this is such a game changer and such an amazing use. I could do this at different reading levels on the same topics for students, have this pushed out and get rich reports for how this is going for my students in class.
You weren't kidding at the beginning, Andrew, when you said Quizizz is more than just quizzes. Like how we knew it and how I knew it, you know, when, like you said, during the pandemic, when I was using it and where we are today, it's one-stop shopping to me. This 100%. Is like, I don't need a lot of different tools. This is going to do a lot of what I'm looking for as an educator with AI.
Totally agree. And then one more on that, and Jen mentioned already, using it with even as a parent with her kids. So our last one here is our flashcards tool. These can be AI generated too, off of your resources, off of a prompt, or you can build from scratch. You're seeing an example here of learning about the solar system. So again, this is AI generated. The student can choose flip it to see what's on the other side of the flashcard. They can choose here, I know, which is actually going to pop it out of the deck saying, hey, they've got this term down. Or they can choose I'm learning, and it will cycle back and give them more opportunities to practice with that. They can see they got tracking at the top here of how many they know and how many they're still practicing and learning themselves. And what I really like about this is it's teacher created and shared with students in a matter of seconds again. And I don't know about many of you listening in this call. I was the student in high school who would spend like an hour and a half making these out of like little business cards myself, writing it down and practicing over. I came from a very privileged place where I had the time and resources to do that and spend that time on my learning. Many of our students don't. This is created in seconds and pushed out to your entire class for students to practice on their own at their own pace when they're up and learning to go. I'm going to show you one example of this. We're running tight on time, so I actually won't generate it myself here in the moment. But for many of us jumping in, if you're a high school educator or if you have students who are teenagers, you may be struggling with Gen Z and Gen Alpha terms. I know I personally am struggling with this. I know Jen, I bet she's going to probably be better than almost everyone else on this call.
I am so Sigma. You have no idea. I have stickers.
Great example there, Jen.
Sig Mama, because I'm a mom who is Sigma, the Sig Mama. I'm on it. Give me this quiz. I'm going to ace it.
So as someone here who I'm not personally as strong with these terms, I threw this at AI. It's like, hey, make me some flashcards on Gen Z, Gen Alpha terms so I can learn these. So I had this created and ready to go. Again, I could have people join this and we had more time live. Actually, I had some of our participants jump in and do this. But I can just use a join link here. So grab a link. Again, I could push this out to Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams if I got my classes rostered. But I'm just going to grab this link. I'm going to go over here and drop it in. This will, again, will be the student experience. I'm going to start over here. I can jump in here with restart this. And so, Jen, first one here, sus. What do you think?
Oh, it means it's suspicious.
This is a good one. So I can flip this over. Suspicious. This is the AI chain of the card here. Got this. We're going to go, I know this one. So it pops out of the deck and see this, know this. Jen, fire.
Oh, it means really cool.
Awesome. Okay. Yep. She knows this. Got it. Mid.
It's just like, okay.
Basic. Okay. Yep. You're killing it here, Jen. No cap.
Not lying.
Emphasizes truth or seriousness. She's doing really well. Better than I would on this. This is an American one, I think. Ohio.
Okay, so Ohio it has multiple things, but Ohio is usually like it's a place, but they don't use it as a place. If something's like Skibbity Ohio toilet, it's sort of like a filler more than anything. And so I'm gonna say it's like bad. It's probably the best.
Crazy is what they went with. Okay, as I said, let's say I'm gonna throw I'm learning, so we can say have one in the I'm learning says. Riz, okay. I think this is probably what most know here.
Charisma. I got Riz. Look,
there you go.
So drippy. Yeah.
She already gave us Sigma, so he was like, cool. For real, I'm getting easy. So anyways, I'm going to stop there. Jen is killing it on these. But again, for students, again, think about how easy it was to be any topic you want. Have AI create this for you. Drop in your own resources and have it create flashcards. And then it's another way to practice language comprehension for in French classrooms, literacy, terminology. I come from this as a high school English teacher. I threw it at literary devices. So it actually gave me examples of quotations from text. And then on the other side of the flip card was a literary device that's contained in that as a great way to practice and learn. So you can see different options here for you. Again, cross-curricular, quick, easy to use to push out to your students. Going to jump back in my deck because we're running down to the last few minutes here, and I'm going to run out of time for all the things I want to tell you about. So everything I just covered there, if you're on that Free for Schools program, you get these tools for free, forever, for everyone at your school. I honestly cannot, and I don't say this, I'm not in sales from Quizizz. I'm an educator who's supporting Quizizz growth in Canada. I can't think of a better deal right now that I've seen in ed tech than giving this for free to educators. There will be some limits on like how many things you can have live and active in your library, but it takes a while to get at those caps. You can always archive resources to keep up things and running. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal deal. Last few things I want to cover with you, though. If you're under like, so that Bronski, that all sounds amazing. Like, what's the catch here? How does this work? How does Quizizz make money? Again, I mentioned at the start, their focus is selling to schools and districts, and they have a lot of amazing premium features for why your school or district might want to purchase the premium version for educators. There is a quick list here, but the one I want to highlight for you, and it's just like magical to me, is their accommodations tool. Quizizz spent a ton of time working with researchers and people, experts in universal design for learning in UDL to do something that I think is actually a game changer for so many teachers and students and for schools. And that's their accommodations tool. You can see the examples of accommodations here. The way this works as an educator is you set your accommodations for your students in your class once at the start of the school year, or the start of the semester. And then when you push things out from Quizizz to your students, nothing else on the teacher side, students just get those accommodations magically and automatically. So think of things like translation. I have a student who just showed up from Ukraine to my class. They are fluent in Ukrainian. They have very little English. I set an accommodation for that student for Ukrainian once. The next time I push out a quiz or a passage or a flashcards, they get it in Ukrainian. I have another student who needs it in Chinese simplified. They get it. I push out the same resource to 30 students in my class, and everyone just gets their accommodations automatically. I'm not creating 3 versions of this every time. It is done in the back end with our AI tools. I'll give you another example, dyslexia font. You might review your students' IEPs at the start of the semester. You might have 3 or 4 students in your class identified with dyslexia. If you didn't know this, there's actually a specific font. There's less of a cognitive load for those with dyslexia. You set that accommodation once for those 3 students in your class. Every time they're seeing text from anything across Quizizz now, they're seeing it in dyslexia font. Other options I'll highlight very quickly here. Don't show the leaderboard. We have a fun gamified experience that lots of students love participating in Quizizz, and they love that gamified experience and that little competition on the fun side in classroom. You might have 4 or 5 kids who really don't like that. Set the accommodation once that they don't show up on the leaderboard, and so 20 kids can enjoy that experience. 4 kids can still participate, but their name's not showing up. And you can see just more and more in here with examples. Read aloud. Think about how the literacy, and we have lots of students who are struggling with literacy and for different ways. We don't want to make sure text is a barrier to them. They can use read aloud. With a click of a button, they can have the text in Quizizz read aloud to them and access it that way. This is great for MLL students, great for younger learners. Quickly here, Jen, I need to unshare. Let me see here. No, I'm not going to show it. The video is in the deck. There is an awesome video here that shows you what accommodations looks like. Just gives an example. But again, I think the magic here is teacher sets it once, and then students just automatically get these accommodations as they're pushing things out from Quizizz. It is magical. Everything else I covered is on the free side. This is part of the premium school and districts plan for Quizizz. Again, you're wondering how does that business model works. But you'll see in Quizizz, once you have a class rostered, there are actually free 3 of the 14 tools that are free forever. And the big one I'll highlight in there is Read Aloud. So actually Read Aloud is a free accommodation in Quizizz for teachers forever. They can set that accommodation for their students, so students can, with a click of a button, have text read aloud to them. And there's other tools built in here for that. Gonna ask Jen to drop some quick links in the chat. If you're excited by this, you're like, this is so much, but I need to go and I need to dive in and learn more. Quizizz offers some free certifications. So we have our certified game changer, and this is linked here too in the slide deck. So you can just click it and get the actual link. This will walk you through those 17 different question types I mentioned in Quizizz and different ways you might use them across your curriculum to engage your students in different ways. You're here to learn about AI. We have a certified AI educator course. These are free to take. It takes like 20, 25 minutes to do. We'll give you a little quiz at the end if you want to do it. And if you get 80% or higher, we'll actually send you a certificate. And this badge will actually show up in your Quizizz account for you to highlight that you've kind of gone through certification and learned how to use all the AI tools in Quizizz. We're also really focused on meeting teachers where they're at and how can they leverage all the tools within Quizizz in their subject area. So we currently have a science innovator course and a social studies educator course, free to take, 20, 25 minutes. And it just gives a whole bunch of examples using our AI tools, using our question types, using the different tools within Quizizz for how you might apply those to your specific subject area and how you're working with your students. This was so much. It was so great being here with all of you. I've had a chance to live demo a lot of this. So I'm just going to say a thank you to all of you. I think more importantly than anything, you are educators from across Canada and outside of Canada who are giving up a Saturday to come here and do your own learning. I hope you found Quizizz really interesting. Again, you can email me anytime. Always happy to connect with you at Andrew@Quizizz, QUIZZZ.com. It's in the slide deck here, which you have access to. And really excited to connect with you. Please reach out. Happy to chat, talk about how it could work for you as a teacher or within your schools, and give support. But I hope there's some excitement here. Jen, I think I've got 2 minutes left. Throwing it back to you. Are there any high-level questions that I need to cover in the last minute here or two?
The one thing that Whitney, first of all, Whitney is giving you lots of praise there. Loved it. Thought it was amazing. But she also asked earlier, is this something that you could print off? I think it was when you were talking about the flip card or the flashcards rather.
Yeah, I think that flashcards is brand new from us this school year. I believe so on the flashcards, yes. Like pretty much the default across Quizizz is AI generated or not. You can run it synchronously with your class, you can run it asynchronously, or you can download and print off. I'm just pausing for a second because I know that's true in most of our tools. If it's not yet there in flashcards, it should be there really soon, but I think it is there. But if not, fire me an email and I'll get on our team to get that added very quickly because it should be an option.
Oh, she said the reading passages. The reading passages is what she was actually asking for. Thank you for the
yeah. Passages can 100% be printed off quickly and easily. Yeah, for sure.
beautiful.
Yeah, and another great
So,
option, generate at reading level, print off in class, on devices, still used with students. Totally agree.
awesome. So we have some more love coming in. As we go, Andrew's just going to go ahead, and I will remind you that we are going live at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern during CS Week co-taught lessons every day. If you want to learn more about that, I just put the link there in the chat. And finally, as always, we would love to have your feedback on how we did today. So I'm going to throw one last little link in there for you. If you can take a quick 2 minutes to tell us how we did. We do read this and we do iterate based on the feedback we're getting. So at bit.ly/Logix feedback. And if you require any support, feel free to reach out at events@logixacademy.com, on our website, logixacademy.com, or on socials at Logix Academy. That's a lot. Andrew, I have a full page of written notes here of questions I'm going to ask you this afternoon. I'm calling you. Be ready. Do not be on Do Not Disturb.
I'll turn it off for you, Jen. No, reach out anytime. That goes to Jen and anyone else in here. Again, my email's in the chat. Always happy to connect with educators and talk about how quizzes can work for you in your classroom. I say this truly as an educator. I think it's just such a phenomenal tool and a great use of AI that's not like a text prompt that's just giving you text, but actually building with you for the resources you need that then you're sharing with your students that they can engage with and that you're getting immediate resources and data and feedback on to kind of apply in your next steps as an educator. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of this conference too. There's other great sessions, including our own Jen Giffen presenting in like another 15 minutes here.
Yeah, I will be. AI in the Library Learning Commons for sure. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you for the rest of the day. And remember, if there was a session that you didn't get to, they all are going to be posted and shared so you can watch them again if you're like me, maybe in double speed, so you can get through them quickly and learn even more. I cannot wait. Have a great rest of your Saturday and be well.